Hello, everyone, and welcome to the round three recap of Canadian Championship. So, I started the tournament pretty well by two wins against the lower rated players, but in round three, I had a very tough challenge. I was playing with the black pieces against international master Anthony Atanasov, who is actually one of the main contenders to try and win this tournament. Of course, he's not the highest rated, but he's very young, he's sharp, he's talented, and I know he's capable of beating everyone in that field. So definitely a tough challenge. And another tough part for me is the fact that I played Anthony in a lot of blitz games, in like blitz tournaments. We even had a match on my stream. In a match, it was actually pretty competitive, but in over the board blitz games, he has an amazing score against me. Like I never beat him, and he beat me many times. And all of these games, it's not like it's not competitive. It's more like I always just miss one tactic in time pressure, and he's very sharp. He's able to trick me all the time. So I have a pretty bad score against this opponent. But this is actually the first time I'm facing him in classical chess. So I was ready for a new start. I was in good form, coming on the back of like I think 15 consecutive wins in classical games. Of course, all of them against lower rated, but still it gives you some sort of confidence that you can go to any game and get a result. So before the game, I knew that Anthony plays a bunch of sidelines. Like he's never like a mainline guy who just grinds 20 moves of theory in the most explored waters. Um, he used to play the London system as his main opening all the time, so I was definitely prepared for that. But I saw he sometimes plays some sidelines like d4, knight f6, c4, e6, bishop f4, or uh, within e4 as well, he has a bunch of sidelines. So I was kind of ready for whatever he played before, but I knew that there's a chance that he surprises me and comes up with something new. Anyways, Anthony started with e4. I played the Caro-Kann. I didn't want to go with another opening because I knew he has a lot of depth in his repertoire, so I decided to stick to what I know the best. So Anthony plays d4, I play d5, and now he goes with the exchange variation e takes d5. So I took c takes d5, and here he starts surprising me for three moves in a row. So obviously, when he went for the exchange variation, I thought that he's going to go with bishop d3, knight c6, c3, queen c7, and then h3, because that's actually a line that he played against me in one of the blitz games that we played against each other. Obviously, the idea is to kind of stop this bishop from coming out of the pawn chain, and here there are a lot of ways for black to play, and I had something prepared here which I won't reveal. Um, anyways, Antony played knight to f3 in this position, which is fine, but it's definitely not the main move. For instance, knight f3 is played in only 3% of the top level games from this position. So I was definitely surprised. When I played knight c6, obviously the best move, and here he surprises me again in this position by playing c3. So I always thought it's better, like if you want to play this structure, it is better to play with some bishop d3, c3 first, and maybe keep this option open with a knight, because when you put the knight on f3, black can always go bishop g4, e6, knight f6, and get a pretty comfortable position. I was thinking probably he wants to go with knight e5. That's another interesting line. The idea is to go bishop b5, force black to go bishop d7, and maybe win the bishop pair here, but a6 is a good move here. Of course, there's a lot more theory. White can go c4, white can go c3, and I wasn't prepared for this line in this game in particular, but I was prepared for it from another game. Anyways, Anthony played c3, and here was the first moment I really started thinking, because I was like, wait a minute, bishop g4 is the most common move in this position, but my opponent seems very confident. He's blitzing all his moves, he's definitely in prep, so I was a little bit worried. I was like, if I go bishop g4, he can play queen to b3, attacking my pawn on b7. So here I started calculating bishop takes f3, but the problem is now he takes on b7 with the queen, attacking my knight and the bishop on f3. So actually here I thought my position is terrible, but in fact I actually have an idea of going queen c8, takes, gf3, and now I have knight takes d4, targeting this bishop on c1. But the problem is after a calm move like king d1, white will have the bishop pair in an open position, and with this majority coming on this side of the board and these two bishops supporting it, and also all my pieces sleeping on this side of the board, I don't think this is a comfortable endgame for me to play. So I saw that. I was also thinking, what if I go queen d7? And after knight e5 takes, and a6, stopping bishop e5, I thought I should be fine, and it is actually fine, but I was a little worried to play this position again with all these undeveloped pieces and my opponent still being in prep. I was like, I might still be in some sort of trouble. So then I was like, what if I just go queen c7? Because against the bishop d3, c3 lines, I do play queen c7, and I thought it's a good version. I go queen c7, stop bishop to f4. If he goes h3, I'm going to go bishop f5. And there's no queen b3 ideas because the pawn is guarded by the queen on c7. So I was pretty happy with queen c7. I played queen c7 after 3 minutes. And here, he played a move which absolutely shocked me. He played pawn to c4. So the move makes sense in the sense that by queen c7, I weaken the pawn on d5. So now he's putting more pressure on this pawn on d5. And it's like a delayed pan-off. But now with the queen on c7, he argues that the tempo that I'm up compared to the pan-off is actually playing into his favor, which makes sense. The move makes sense, but I think the reason I completely missed it was the fact that he just played c3. I didn't even consider him playing c3 and just the next move going c4. So I was a little bit shocked. I played e6 after a 5-minute think, defending my pawn on d5, and I was like, okay, if he takes, I take back, and we get a symmetrical structure, and I was still thinking I'm fine. So here, Anthony makes a slight inaccuracy. He plays knight to c3, and I will tell you why. So, funnily enough, 3 or 4 rounds later in the tournament, 2 of the top players of the tournament, 2 of the people who were actually contending for the first place in a very big game, Nikolai Noritsin with the white pieces and Sean Rodrigue-Lemieux with the black pieces, faced each other. And Nikolai saw this line that Anthony prepped against me and decided to employ it against Sean. So, funnily enough, we actually got this exact position on one of the top boards, and Nikolai actually improved on Anthony's play by playing c5, stopping this bishop from coming to b4. And we were actually talking with both Anthony and Nikolai before one of the rounds of the tournament. And Nikolai was telling me that e5 is the best move here in the position, but no human being is going to play it because it leads to some crazy lines. Like, I'm just going to show you the top engine line. There are, of course, a lot of branches that we can explore, but I don't think it's necessary. So white goes knight c3, attacking this pawn on d5. And now black's best move is not to defend the pawn in any way, but to go bishop to g4. Looks weird, yeah? Like, and I don't want to, like, again, knight takes d5. There's queen d7, apparently. And the best move that white can play is to go b4. Like, the position is just absolutely crazy. No one is going to figure this out. If black takes, threatening the queen and the c2 square, white is just going to play queen d1 and claiming that this pawn in the center is hanging. And again, apparently the best move for black is just to give up the pawn with a6 and queen c6. And we get a position which is equal, but still a lot of life left in this position. So again, c5 would have led to absolute chaos. And I remember Sean faced this move over the board, and he decided, of course, not to go e5, because that's something you don't want to do against a well-prepared opponent, going to an extremely sharp line. Sean played bishop here, knight f6, knight e4 stuff, and the game ended in a draw. Anyways, Anthony played knight c3, and now I played bishop to b4. Now the problem is, if he goes c5, now this bishop is already outside of the pawn chain, and the restriction doesn't work on it. So I can just take, go knight f6, and I'll be fine. So Anthony took on d5, he takes d5, bishop to d3, and now I play knight ge7. So I was worried that if I go knight f6, he might start attacking my knight with bishop g5 ideas at some point. So I was like, yeah, knight g7 is better, defending the pawn, and also preparing bishop f5, trading off this strong bishop on d3. Actually, it's funny, Anthony told me that after knight c3, he was planning to play c5 after knight f6. That was his initial idea. And I played bishop b4 and didn't get to do it. But funnily enough, I didn't play knight f6 here because I was more worried about bishop g5. That was the main reason I didn't go knight f6. I wasn't really considering c5 in the game. Anyways, so we both castle, and here was the first moment Anthony started thinking, which gave me a huge sense of relief. Because I was like, okay, he's out of prep, position looks symmetrical, it's not the end of the world, so we are very well in the game. So after a long think, Anthony plays knight to b5, attacking my queen on c7. And here I was like, okay, if I go queen d7, it blocks my bishop. Queen b8 looks a little passive. I was actually considering queen b8 because it stops bishop to f4, but I made sure to calculate bishop f4 and play queen d8, because if bishop f4 here, I saw that if he goes bishop f4 here, I'm going to go a6, attacking this knight on b5. And if he goes knight c7, it's not going to do anything. I'm just going to go rook a7, hit this knight next move, and he's going to be in trouble. So here, of course, I looked at some Greek gift sacrifices, which they're never going to work because this bishop is going to come to f5. So I was pretty confident. Yeah. He played a3, I played bishop to a5, and now he plays bishop to f4. So, speaking about the Greek gifts, I played bishop f5 here, just trading off this bishop on d3. So my initial idea was actually to go a6. I thought this equalizes pretty easily because after knight d6, bishop c7, he's going to have to like trade and trade everything. And this position is probably going to be very equal. He's not going to have any advantage. But after bishop c7, I was a little bit worried what happens if he sacks this bishop on h7. So this time, I can't actually go to g8, because if I go to g8, he's going to go queen h5. And now this knight on d6, very importantly, stops the bishop from coming to f5. Indeed, this is totally fine for me, and it's completely lost for white after king to g6. But again, like, I wasn't sure I'm going to go for it. Like queen d3 check, again, I have to find some only moves. If I go f5, I lose to queen g3. But I have knight to f5. And all of a sudden, he doesn't have anything, and my king is just chilling on g6. So the main reason I didn't go for this in the game was I was a little bit worried about bishop takes h7. And I was like, why should I give him this option? Because if it was winning, let's say if this was a winning position, if it wasn't for bishop takes h7, I would have really calculated it. But I was like, I'm going to spend like 20 minutes, and then he's just going to take on c8, and I'm going to look stupid. So I was like, yeah, let's just play bishop f5, keep things safe. Anthony trades. Now I have some pressure on this pawn on d4 as well. So after queen d3, attacking my knight on f5, I played queen to f6, even exerting more pressure on this pawn on d4. And here I was starting to be really happy. Anthony plays b4, I play bishop e6, and all of a sudden I'm threatening to win a pawn. So even if he defends, I can still play something like knight f takes d4, because it x-rays this bishop on f4 as well. So for instance, if he goes rook a d1, I'm going to take on d4. He doesn't have intermezzos because I have checks on f3. And if he ever takes, I'm just going to be up a pawn after this. So here I was pretty happy, and Anthony had to go with knight to c3, because he's going to lose this pawn on d4, so might as well try and win this pawn on d5. So the big trick here, though, is I can't defend my pawn with a rook. If I could, then I would have been in a much better position, but the problem is this move bishop g5. So here I started thinking, yeah, it's fine. I can take on d4, he takes on d5, and we're going to get an equal position. I could even defend with a queen, but then the pressure is lifted from the d4 pawn. So I decided to take on d4 with the knight. He takes on d5, and now I play a very nice move that he missed. He told me after the game that he missed, which is queen to g6. And once I played this move, I was like, wait a minute. I'm more than fine. I'm not even going to lose this game, but I'm the one pressing now. Because, first of all, I'm attacking this queen. There's no fork on e7 because of the knight. And if he takes my queen on g6, I'm going to take on f3 first. And after gf3, fg6, even though the material is equal, in this endgame, like, I felt like black is the one pressing. These pawns are a little bit weak. My knight can come to c4. There's pressure down the a file. And it's funny that computer claims that this is still dead equal, but I believe in a practical game, black has much better winning chances here. It's much, much easier to play this position with black. So in this position, Anthony spent a long time. He was pretty unhappy with his position, and he played queen d1 and offered me a draw in this position. So, as I told you, before this tournament, I had this thing with myself. I'm not going to take any draws. I'm not going to offer any draws unless the position is absolutely dead. And obviously, this position, even though it's symmetrical, it's not a dead draw. There's still a lot of play left. So I was like, I'm going to stick to what I want to do and just have fun. Just play a game. And if I lose, it's fine. I will learn something. So I decided the position is pretty much equal. It's only minus 0.1. And draw with black against Anthony, don't get me wrong, it's a good result. I'm not going to be unhappy with it, but I was like, I'm going to try and play it on and see how it goes. If I lose, it's fine. I already got my FM title, so I don't care about rating. I'm just going to try and go for it. So here, I was the one spending a lot of time. And apparently the best move is to go rook f8, which I saw. But after knight takes, a takes, knight d4, rook d4, and queen c1, after b5, black is slightly better with this weakness on a3 and the pawn fixed here. But still, white is very solid. There's no clear weaknesses that I can attack. And let's say he just drops this bishop back to g3. It's going to be very difficult to generate some clear-cut winning chances here. So in the game, after a long think, I decided to play queen to e4. So now it looks as though black is really pressing in this position, because now I'm attacking the knight, the bishop is also hanging, and if he plays something like knight takes d4, he's going to lose after bishop takes d4 because everything is going to hang. So knight takes b6 is forced, and here I take a takes b6, opening up my rook towards the a pawn. So again, even though engine says it's equal, I feel like in a real game, white is under more pressure. Another move that I considered was to take on f3 with a knight. And the point is, after gf3, I have this very nice check on g6 with a queen. But again, I wasn't sure about this. I was like, yeah, king h1 takes. He's going to get some counterplay. I'm not even sure this is the best way to go. And even the endgame, after queen takes and all these trades, with the rook coming to the d file, I wasn't sure I have good winning chances here, because I can't really go rook d8 because of bishop c7 ideas. I have to like waste some tempos first. So I wasn't really sure about this endgame either. So I took on b6. He trades the knights and plays a very, very nice move, bishop to d6. It's not the top engine move, but I understand why he did that. So around here, I was very happy with my position. I was like, my knight is going to come to c2 next, so I'm attacking this bishop, I'm prepping knight e2, and my knight is going to come to c2 next, attacking the rook on a1, and also the pawn on a3. And I think that's what worried Anthony as well. He didn't play bishop g3 in this position because he was worried that I'm going to go knight c2, rook c1, and just simply take a pawn. And after rook e1, queen g6, looks as though black is just up a pawn, but the compensation is just too much. After a simple move like h3, my knight on a3 is kind of out to lunch, and he has all these open files, and the rooks are going to come into them. So white has more than enough compensation here. Maybe he was also worried about some knight e2, rook d8, rook d3 ideas. But anyways, he plays bishop d6, and his point is, he doesn't give me time to play a move like knight c2. He attacks my rook, so now I have to act. So obviously, the first move that comes to my mind is rook fd8. Looks as though I'm going to win, because if once the bishop moves, there's knight e2 check. But he has this nice move, rook e1. And now, my queen has to keep defending this knight on d4, and once I play a move like this, he's going to go bishop c7, and all of a sudden, I'm the one in trouble, losing the pawn on b6. So after a long think, I decided to go with rook f8. And my idea was that after rook fe1, queen d5, he's not going to have these bishop c7 ideas. So queen d5 is a slight inaccuracy. This is the only moment that I thought I could genuinely make a good push for the win. And the way I could have gone for it was to just trade everything. Trade on e1, and now play a simple move like h6. So again, computer says it's just a very minimal advantage, but I personally believe that this position is extremely difficult for white to defend. So first of all, he needs to deal with a back rank. And once he does, I'm going to go rook takes a3. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on his position. He's still going to be down a pawn. And I think at the end of the day, we are going to get some sort of rook endgame where I have this extra b pawn, which is a theoretical draw, but I can keep grinding that forever, hoping that my opponent makes a mistake. So I think if I had gone for this, he would have had to defend a tough endgame at least. And the main point is after rook e7, rook takes, he needs to give this loft for the king. He needs to deal with the back rank. And there's no clear way to defend a pawn. e5 gets captured, rook e3, knight c2, rook a1, knight c2. So already my opponent is in trouble. Bishop c7, b5, of course. So I played queen d5, and now Anthony takes the rook and drops this bishop back to g3. So from distance, this position seemed amazing for me. It's like, yeah, I have so much activity. I have a strong knight on d4. I have a very strong rook on the e file. And next, I'm going to go queen c4 and control the c file as well. You can't go queen c1 because I will sack the queen and go knight e2. But then after h3, h6, king h2, I was like, wait a minute. How can I even make progress? Rook c1 is now coming. And if I go something like rook e2, he's just going to go rook c1 and get a lot of activity. And I'm not even attacking anything. This side is just totally solid. So I was like, I can't let this rook come to c1. I play rook to c8, trying to grind the c file. And here, Anthony finds a very nice way to get out of the pressure. So at this point, if I can go b5 and trade the queens at some point, I think this is still unpleasant for white with this weakness fixed on a3. And then I can maybe put pressure with my rook and the knight. And also this rook can't come to the game very easily, so Anthony decides to play a4. So first of all, he makes sure that I'm not going to fix this pawn on a3. And the point is after queen takes b4, he's now going to get a lot of activity. He goes queen g4, attacking my rook on c8, and also pinning this knight on d4. So here I got to be careful. If I play a move like, let's say rook f8, then he's going to win the game with bishop e5, threatening mate, and also my knight on d4. So here I came up with an interesting idea. I played queen to c4, and the idea is that I want to meet bishop e5 with knight e6 and claim that I'm up a pawn. But now Anthony plays queen to d7, and here I realize that I can't win the game anymore. Because now white is so active, even though I'm up a pawn, the pawn on b7 is hanging, and I can't really defend it. I wish I could go queen c6, but my knight is hanging on d4. And here I was like, well, if he takes this pawn, which I can't really defend, what do I have left? Now my pawn on b6 is going to be a little bit weak. He's going to have better minor piece, has no weaknesses. So at this moment, I decided that I want to bail out, and I'm happy with a draw. So I played knight e2, so that after queen takes b7, I can get rid of the bishop, play queen to c6, and now nothing is left for this game to be played. So Anthony takes the queen, rook takes c6, and now he plays a5, offering me a draw, and this time, obviously, I'm going to accept, because even though I had this bet that I don't want to accept or offer any draws, of course, I'm not going to play rook in3 versus rook in3 against an international master for 100 moves, so I was like, sure, this position is a dead draw, and I agreed to a draw. Pretty good results overall. I wasn't sad with the result, and I was extremely, extremely happy with the fact that I decided to play on and put more pressure on him. But in the end, it was a draw. But I think with playing this game until the end, I will learn more stuff. I learned a lot of interesting positions here. Like, for instance, this idea in this position where I could take on e1 and just play h6. Like, of course, once you play the game more, you will learn more from it. And I'm glad that I kept playing this game. And it gave me a lot of confidence. It would have been much more, it gave me much more confidence rather than taking a draw out of being scared against a high-rated player. I just fought until the end, and in the end, it was a draw in a competitive game. So overall, I was pretty happy. I get a draw with the black pieces against one of the main 5 contenders of the tournament. and I moved on. 2.5 out of 3. So pretty good start. So now even without all those farming tournaments that I played, like all those tournaments against much lower rated players, even with this Canadian closed tournament by itself, I gained 7.5 points so far. So I'm already FIDE master by just playing this tournament as well. So that also gave me a good sense in a way that I didn't get my title by just farming lower rated. I played in Canadian close and I still gained 7.5 points so far in this tournament. Anyways, let me know your comments in the comment section down below about this game, about Anthony's opening preparation, and about my decision to play on for the win. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this game. So stay tuned. The next game is only gonna get harder. So see you guys soon. Have a great one and goodbye.